Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the United Stand. Welcome to the Sunday live show, Fan Forum. We didn't get one yesterday after the game. We are going to touch on Southampton. We're going to talk about that a bit later in the show. But hot topics right now is obviously transfer window, almost at an end. We're only going to be talking about football from here on in after Thursday night. But them few days, I think, are going to be mental. We're all preparing ourselves for what's probably going to be a chaotic 4 days before this window shuts. Antony, obviously, is main story right now. We're going to get into that, get everyone's thoughts on that. Money, is it worth it? Is it the right signing? So on and so forth. Obviously, we're going to talk about Ronaldo. We're going to judge the window so far, let everyone know what we all think in terms of ratings out of 10. Has it been a good window? Has it been a bad window? Is there any more that we're going to do? As well as Antony, loads to get into, obviously. Like I said, the Southampton game as well. We're going to have the big breakdown from Ricky. That's where he's going to come into his own on that one. Guys, Beth, first of all, welcome to the show, as always. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's actually good to be coming off the back of 2 wins for once. It feels weird, but yeah, it's good to be on.
It is indeed. Charlie, chilled out weekend, mate. It's good to be winning, isn't it? It's easy, this job, when United win.
Finally, yeah. Well, 2 on the bounce. It's good. It's good. It feels good.
And Ricky, you're still sunning it, mate. You must be living it large, mate, over there.
Loving it, mate. Yeah, it's great.
Good. Right, let's get into it. Obviously, we will be doing a spin-off show if anything does break in terms of Antony, because we're hearing, obviously, and I'm sure you guys have been watching. If you haven't been, or you've been hiding under a rock, you would know that the Antony deal is very, very close now. I think we all knew that it was going to happen, but it does now look like it's a matter of hours before this deal is signed, and we will have a spin-off show especially for that if we do get the official here we go. Beth, I'm going to come to you first on this one. Antony, it's going to work out, by all accounts, about 85 million when you break it down. 100 million euros, 85 English pounds. First of all, are you worried about that price? Is it just a case of getting this player in? Are you not bothered about how much we're spending? Is it the right player?
Obviously, I think it's a lot of money. It's crazy money to think players are going for this amount anyway. And obviously, we're breaking the record for a player from the Dutch league. And do you know what? I do like the player. He looks good. Looking at his stats, I mean, I didn't watch Ajax week in, week out last year, but I've seen bits of him and I've seen him in the Champions League and stuff. But I've also looked at his stats. They're not brilliant stats, to be honest with you. So I do think it will take some adapting. I think not all of the time, it's not all about goals and assists. Like, you can help the team out in other ways and with the way that you play. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits in. But I have confidence in it because the people that Erik ten Hag have brought in, Malacia, Martinez, Eriksson, they've all done very well. They've all been, like, for me, our better players since the start of the season. So I do trust in who he's bringing in. I think he's recruited quite well. And people are saying about him just consistently going for Dutch players, the Dutch league. Obviously, Antony's Brazilian, but to the Dutch league, maybe that's a mistake. Well, it's worked out so far, and I do think this player will be leaving to go to a better club next year anyway. I think we have overpaid, but to be honest with you, I'm not too bothered about the money. It's not my money, and I don't think that should be a thing when he comes in. I don't think, because you're going to see it on Sky Sports, and you're going to see people say, "Oh, he's not done this. He was 80 million. He was 80 million quid, 100 million euros," and I don't think that's fair on the player. I like the way he's pushed the move. I think it shows passion and wanting to play for Manchester United. And I think he's definitely got a lot of potential. So hopefully he can come in and we can see a more cohesive front line, because I do think we need to add that depth. And from what I've seen with Erik ten Hag, I think it depends on whether Ronaldo leaves. I think he's ready to put Sancho on the left, Antony on the right, and then even Martial or Rashford down the middle. It looks like the way that we're going to go.
Right, I mean, Rick, we can only look on last season in terms of stats for Antony, because he's obviously done what modern players do now when they want to move. He's been, I wouldn't say rebelling. He's not been involved in training. He's not been involved in the Ajax squad. So we can't say anything about him so far this season or anything that's happened in recent days or weeks in terms of his playing time. But last season, like Beth said, then stats are one thing, Rick. You can look at stats as much as you want. It's how they adapt to, like Beth said, that big price tag, wearing that United shirt, coming from Holland, which isn't as good a league, and we've seen it years gone by. Is that a worry for you, the price tag mixed in with actually coming from a league that isn't as intense as the Premier League?
It's a worry for me in a big way, in that I don't know enough about the player, so I'm worried about it in that respect. I'm not too concerned about the league that he comes from, and I'm not too concerned about people saying, "Oh, he likes Dutch players or players from a Dutch league." You know, these managers, they manage in certain leagues and they play against the players in these leagues. They're bound to see players in these leagues who they fancy. If you look at Conte, he signed Kulusevski and Perisic is 33 and he's playing brilliantly for Spurs. So, you know, he signed them from Serie A. You know, our manager's going to know players in the Dutch league better than he's going to know from other leagues. I agree with Beth. The players he signed so far are doing quite well. I thought Malacia wasn't quite as good yesterday as he was the other night, to be fair, but they're all doing well. You've got to trust him, but like you say, it's a hell of a lot of money. There's going to have to be some player for me, to come up to that sort of level.
Charlie, is it a concern for you? I mean, I think sometimes the media builds up the Eredivisie and brings up the record. I mean, there have been some flops over the years from the Eredivisie that have come to the Premier League, but there have also been some absolute gems. We've benefited ourselves, and obviously we've been on the other end of it as well with certain Dutch players that have come from the Eredivisie, or even players, not simply Dutch players, but players that just play in the Eredivisie as well. Is it a concern for you to step up the price tag? Do you think Antony can handle it? I mean, he's playing for the Brazil national team now, week in, week out. Surely he can handle the pressure of that. And I think also, if I'm right in thinking, he has played in one of the biggest games in world football, I think, over in South America as well. I'm sure he's played in the River Plate Boca Juniors and experienced that back in his earlier days. So is it a concern for you?
I think for me, it's difficult when, like, it's not his fault that he's been priced at what he's been priced at. So it's difficult because it's not, he, as I think Beth says, whatever he comes and does for us, he could obviously hit the ground running and score in his first game, or not even score, just play really well. But if he isn't getting that stats, and this is the thing with football nowadays, is if you're not stat padding, you could play awful, but you could still score. But someone looks at he scored on his debut and they're going to automatically presume that he had a blinder, right? And I think, as I say, for me, he doesn't get to choose how much he's going for. It's obviously Ajax are pricing him at that, and we're willing to pay it. I don't think we should be paying that amount of money for him, but ultimately, like, he might come in and it might take him some time to adapt. You don't know. I think you've got to be willing to let him come in and have that adaptation time. I don't think you should really expect any player really to come in and be able to produce straight away. I think only he's only like 22, I think, isn't he? He's still a very young player. Like I think it's good that he's made his mind up and he's ready, and he's said that he's ready to take that next step in terms of his career. And obviously his only thought is with Manchester United. That's obviously only a positive. But I think at the end of the day, it's not necessarily a worry because, as I say, the player doesn't get to choose how much, he's obviously going for. But I think that the generation and the people growing up nowadays are very, very, very keen on just looking at people's and players' stats. And if you're not producing the key ones, which is goals and assists, then you're going to be more likely to go down as a flop, or just not performing as well as you should be. Whereas obviously, as I say, he could come in and in his first 5 games could have 5 goal contributions, but play, pretty rubbish. But then you look at it on face value and he's giving you that return. But I think ultimately, at the end of the day, I wouldn't be paying that amount of money for any Eredivisie player. I think it could have been used and utilised in other areas of the team to be strengthened. But it's obviously someone that Ten Hag wants and is keen to bring in and has been for so long. So we're only paying that amount because it's taken this long to kind of get him in. And as I said, I think I've said so many times in a previous show that I think it was when it was like 60 million euros or something, that I guarantee it will probably go up to 100 million euros, and that Manchester United would pay it. So yeah, we're here now. So what can you do?
That's it, Rick. I wanted to bring you in on something that Beth touched on before, because I know you're keen on certain positions that certain players play in. But Sancho over to the left-hand side if Antony comes in on the right. And then if Ronaldo does leave, Rick, that leaves us with Martial, who you've made a point of injury concerns being the biggest worry out of everything, and Marcus Rashford for the central role. Is that a bit threadbare for you, especially if Ronaldo leaves?
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, in a big way. Just dead quick, I'll answer your question in a bit more depth, but just dead quickly on the Antony thing. I honestly don't know anything about him, but I've been reading that he's a left-footed right winger. He's a left-footed right winger. I prefer right-footed right wingers, and I think Sancho's been playing all right on the right. And was it just a coincidence that he got switched to the left yesterday and Alanga got switched to the right? I was gobsmacked when he did that yesterday. I thought they both played well against Liverpool, the opposite way around. Then yesterday he switched them the other way. He's going to have to be some player if he's going to do well on the right-hand side, left-footed, and we're going to switch Sancho to the left wing, right-footed. I won't be happy with it to start with. Hopefully they can prove me wrong, but I won't be happy with it to start with. Getting back to the strikers, threadbare, it's worse than threadbare. It is, if Ronaldo goes, I know we have our differences about Martial and Rashford, but look at Rashford yesterday. He can't get hold of the ball. He can't win an header. We're actually under pressure throughout the second half because the forward can't get hold of the ball and help us to get up the field and bring the play forward. Rashford at number 9. I mean, I'm not keen on him on the left wing, but at number 9, I honestly believe he's got to be the worst number 9 in the Premier League. We've got to get somebody there who can get hold of it. I mean, that was an intelligent signing. They're still unbeaten, Newcastle, and I know he's not even getting in the team regular, but they signed Chris Wood from Burnley. United fans would laugh at me, but he's 6'4", he's big and strong, he gets hold of the ball, they can't beat him in the air, he wins free kicks. It might be old school, but you need to get the ball up the field to someone who can get hold of it and keep hold of it until he gets somebody joining in with him that he can pass it to.
Hey, mate, you questioned me when I said Mitrovic. I thought Mitrovic would have been a shout. It's a perfect striker for us.
Guys.
I honestly believe Rashford's the worst centre forward in the Premier League. I really do. And then if Ronaldo's gone and Martial's injured, we're in a right mess.
I'd take Antony.
Beth, two things there that Vicky said. If Martial's injured and Ronaldo's gone, there's a very big likelihood that is going to happen. Martial's injury record is catastrophic, to say the least. Now he's not reliable enough on the injury front right now. It's no fault of his own, obviously, but some players are just like that. I mean, Ricky's mate down now at Brentford, Danny Welbeck, went through a stage like that where his injuries just completely curtailed his career. And then if Ronaldo does go, Beth, we are going to be in serious trouble, I think, going forward into the latter stages of this season, because as of next week, the Europa League comes in. It's 2 games a week all the way up to the World Cup. Players are obviously thinking about the World Cup as well, where their minds are, everything. It starts to become a bit of a concern that the squad depth, especially in that front line, is nowhere near deep enough.
Do you know what I'm really worried about that? I'm not gonna lie. Even when Ronaldo's been coming on, I love Ronaldo, but for me, he's not really been.
I think his head's not in it.
I don't think his head's not in it because I know how much of a professional he is. I just don't know. I'm just not. When I watch him come on, he's not good. He's not playing well. And don't get me wrong, he still had more touches in 5 minutes than Rashford did at centre forward in the whole time he was on. I feel like, genuinely, I do agree with Rick in the fact that he's not a centre forward. Rashford, he's got no presence whatsoever, and he can't hold the ball up, and he goes missing. There's no glue in that front line whatsoever when he's playing there. It worries me that he's the other option for the number 9 spot, and I am worried about Martial because I think he's such a good player. I've been saying it for a long time. And even though he's not maybe a 20 goal a season number 9, without a doubt, he's at the moment, I'd be playing him over Ronaldo as the number 9. I think his link up play, his hold up play, it's just stuff he brings to that team that, especially when you saw it against Liverpool, you've seen it through glimpses. I'm really liking Martial's game under Ten Hag so far, and I think it could only get better. I think Martial, what is he, 26, 27? He's still still quite young. So I think he's got a big career ahead of him if he can just, at United, under Ten Hag, if he can just sort his injury record out. But like we've been saying it it's been like over a season now where he's been consistently getting injured and not being able to play. It is very, very worrying. And I tell you something, if this injury thing carries on, going into the season with just Rashford as an option, it will lose a lot of points. We won't be able to score as many goals, and there is players in there that you can score goals with, but we're massively crying out for a number 9 back up to Martial, especially if Ronaldo leaves.
I mean, Charlie, where are you at on this? 4 days left in the window. It sort of like jumps out that we don't want to go down the road of Igalo, Cavani, lastminute.com, whoever's available who's over the age of 30 or whatever, who can actually hold the ball up, or once upon a time was an half-decent striker. We don't want to go down that road. We've made mistakes down that path before, but ultimately, mate, like Beth and Ricky have both said there, you cannot rely on Martial and Rashford for reasons that we've just been brought up there through the season, especially when we have got so many games coming up. And it's going to really affect what Ten Hag is building, I think. I do think that the system will go so far, but you can't keep playing like you did against Southampton yesterday. And I agree with what Ricky and Beth said in terms of not being able to take the pressure off what was a brilliant defensive performance, and we'll get into that in a bit. But sometimes that forward line needs to relieve the pressure and give them a break. Martial and Rashford, for the concerns that Beth and Ricky have just brought up there, it's not enough. Do we have to go out and spend or even get a loanee striker in just to give them a bit of a rest?
I mean, I think, would all agree that we, whatever kind of happened with Ronaldo months ago, whatever the situation, however it was going to end up, agreed that we needed another forward. I think that was pretty clear, and seemed to have gone back and forth on the idea of we were going to get a forward, we're not, and we were, and now I don't even know. But I actually, again, I don't know if I'm guessing a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I actually, and this isn't me defending Rashford, but I actually think that Rashford can play as a centre forward. I don't think that yesterday, I don't think the game yesterday he played well at all. I tweeted out that he had a really bad game, and I agree with you in the sense that when we are on the back foot, that he isn't that guy to relieve the pressure, and he isn't the guy that you're going to pump it long to, and he's going to win the headers or flick-ons, etc. But in certain, and this is I guess very specific, but in certain games, I think that you can utilize Rashford, because as Beth said, when Ronaldo came on, I don't think he was any better than Rashford was in terms of contribution, right? I think, and whether that was because Ronaldo picked up a little knee injury like 2 minutes after being on or whatever, like he did nothing better than what Rashford did that whole game. That isn't to say that if Ronaldo would have started, that I'm sure Ronaldo would have contributed more. But I do think that Rashford, if you utilize him in the right way, and that might not be what Ten Hag wants to do in terms of sacrificing the whole system. But I do think that Rashford, I almost think kind of when I played football when I was quick, like a few years ago, before I put on a bit of weight, yeah. But it was kind of like me, like I was the short, well, not that he's short, but I was the short, skinny, fast kid who couldn't hold the ball up, but I was very good at getting in behind and playing 1-2s, and I'd score a lot of goals that way. And it's very much the opposite now. But I do think that we can still play Rashford as a 9, and I do think he would score a lot of goals. It's just finding the right players around him, and maybe sacrificing other players or the system in terms of.
Do you think on that, Charlie, that we've got the time to try and find that out though now? This is where the whole preparation of pre-season and getting behind Ten Hag and getting signings and everything in place before the season starts comes back into it here, because that's what pre-seasons are for. That's what all the teams above us have had in terms of preparation this summer. And lo and behold, every one of them teams are above us in the league right now. And we are just finding our feet now. But that's simply because we've had to go back to basics, Charlie. It's basic football right now. It's defending as an 11, stopping the goals going. I know Ricky's getting excited about this now already, but we are going to go. We are going to come to Southampton soon. Don't worry, Rick. Don't worry. But we are having to change Ten Hag football already to adapt these players. He cannot implement his system because he's found out how bad these players are. I won't say bad. I think that's the wrong way of putting it. But I look at what you said there, and I struggle to find the players to suit Rashford's game around him right now, because I think Sancho is an out-and-out winger who thrives on a proper number 9 being there. That's why his link-up with Haaland was so superb at Dortmund. I'm not sure about Antony, like we said, but you got to look at it now. I don't know which players in our team right now would suit Rashford as a number 9. That's the concern out of it all. I don't know who it would be, and I don't think we've got time to test it or try and find out.
I was just about to say, honestly, I get Charlie's point about Rashford can be utilised in certain games, but realistically, the only games where he's gonna be able to score goals from number 9 position, in my opinion, is when you're hitting him on the break and running him in behind. And ideally, the only teams we should be really doing that against is the teams, the top 6 teams right now. And ideally, I wouldn't even like to be doing that. That's just because of how poor we are at the moment. Eventually, Ten Hag's going to want to play possession-based football. That's not going to work. I knew from the start yesterday that it wasn't going to be Rashford's game, because I knew Southampton would hold the positions very well and they won't give him that space in behind. And if every team does that, he's just not going to be a good number 9. And I think that's the good thing about having a striker that can hold the ball, can do link-up play, is intelligent with the ball at his feet. It's hard to stop that. You can stop someone running in behind quite easily. It's hard to stop just natural ability on the football, which is why I don't think for a team, an elite team, which is what we're aiming to be, I don't think you can just have a one-trick pony striker. I like him on the left. I do. I think he's got attributes he can bring. I think he looks a lot more at home on the left-hand side. I think he has. He's got that. He's not always been, obviously his form's been really poor, but I think he knows what he's doing in that position. When I see him at the striker role, I just think he looks like someone who doesn't even know what runs to make, where to be.
On that, quickly, I just want to say to everyone, anyone who is super chatting, I'm not in charge of bringing the super chats up tonight, so I can see them all, and thank you very much. I am reading as many comments as I possibly can on the super chats there. I'm just going to bring up one. I'll try and get through them as many as I can. United AV says, sounds like Rashford will move to the centre striker, and this is the end for Ronaldo. We just need a playmaking central midfielder to play interchangeable with Eriksen, Bruno, and the proper right back would also like a young centre back. Not much then, mate. No. I can't see that happening in the next 4 days. But, Ricky, I was going to bring you in on something and I completely forgot because that was super chat for me. Oh, that was it. We talked about the price of Antony. We talked about the lack of centre forward. There is a solution in this in Hakpo, because Hakpo is being moved centrally and he's going to be converted by all accounts, and 21 goals last season in the same division. Bigger, 6'3", I think, strong, can be utilised. And I'm not one for these versatile players. I like a player to play a certain position and be the best in that position. But I can see how a Hakpo coming in on the left and then moving into a central role eventually for his size and what he can do. Is that not an option out of all of this, Rick? Could we not be looking at this?
I think so. And especially the last time I read, the price tag around Gakpo was about 35 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's a buyout. I think there is a buyout.
It's the Dutch league. Again, it's a Dutch league. The managers should surely know a hell of a lot more than I know. And even though it's a tiny little bit, I did watch him playing only on the TV, of course, but I watched him play against Glasgow Rangers a week or so back. And I was trying to concentrate on him, and he looks a good player to me. So that's all I've seen. But even in one showing, sometimes I look at somebody and think, "Oh, he's rubbish." You know what I mean? He looks a good player. So I'd have been more tempted to go for it. It's not a lot to go at, and I'm not seeing Antony, but it just seems to make sense to me to go to the 35 million. And I like that. I like big players. This is going to be a big argument about McTominay and Fred. They might be of equal ability, but a big guy's going to be a little guy 9 times out of 10 if they're of similar abilities.
Did you call Fred a big guy?
No, McTominay over Fred.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, you said in terms of it. But while you're on to that, Rick, obviously this all changes if Ronaldo stays. In your opinion, Rick, do you feel like Ronaldo's done from what you've seen? Do you think he could stay? And if Ronaldo does stay, how are you playing it? Is Ronaldo ahead of Martial when he's fit? And likewise with Rashford? Is this the easiest way out of this to try and convince Ronaldo to stay one more season?
Personally, I mean, we just spoke before about a striker that can hold the ball up and bring players forward. And we spoke about it being able to, in a creative manner, to try and score goals. But we're in such a mess, the amount of goals we conceded last year and in the first 2 games of this season. The most important part about it is the defensive nous of a striker, winning free kicks, allowing your team to breathe, get up the field, allowing your back four to get up, making yourselves more difficult to score against. The actual compactness of the side, if that's the right word, compactness of the side of your striker making himself available to the midfield players. And Martial, you must have seen it many times, is great at receiving the ball and just taking a bump, going over. People don't think much of it. But when you're a team that's losing a lot of games, it's vital that you've got somebody that can do things like that. So, you know, Ronaldo scored 17 goals for us last season. We've had this argument many, many times. I used to have it with you about Bruno. If we play better, we will score more goals, even if we haven't got a single player who's scoring 17 goals. We might get 2 or 3 players who get 12 goals or whatever. We just need to play better. So now the thing is, if I'd have been saying this a few months, there might still be a lot of people laughing at me, but a lot would have laughed. But what I'm saying here, I would have Martial ahead of Ronaldo for the reasons that I've just explained. But now I've got a little bit of backup. I think Ten Hag thinks that as well. You know, he's absolutely eulogising about Martial. He loves him. Do you know what I mean? So I've got a feeling Martial is going to be the number one. Now, we've just said his injury record at the moment is atrocious. Even if he's number one, Ronaldo might play more games than he does because he's injured that often. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes, you know, if you're injured and you miss 3 games, you don't just automatically get back in either. We might, you know, if we're playing well, we've got 2 good wingers. If the midfield's clicking, which we've got new players in midfield, Eriksen and obviously Casemiro to come in, we might start clicking as a team. So Ronaldo might come in at number 9 and it could just click. He might start scoring a few goals. So Martial could come back from injury and find himself stuck on the bench. But if we were to start with a clean slate tomorrow, everybody fit and available, I think Martial will be the manager's number 1.
Charlie, what you reckon? Do you think Ronaldo's done? I think he's gone.
Yeah, I think it's looking more and more likely. Look, ultimately, I'd love Ronaldo to stay.
Where will he go, Charlie? What I mean,
this is the thing. This is what's baffling me. It's I think if he would have obviously found somewhere to go, a month ago, weeks ago, he would have been gone ASAP. It's just obviously the other clubs affording him, I guess. But I'd love him to stay, obviously. But as I agree with Ricky in saying that Martial is probably the better one in terms of making the team play better and tick. It's just Ronaldo. You just can't imagine Ronaldo ever being that impact bench player that comes on and plays, 10, 15 minutes every game, or, plays once and then misses a game. It's very hard to visualize that, but I just don't think, and he's been obviously really, really professional over the time that he's obviously wanted to leave and stuff, but I think, and I'm not holding my breath that he's going to stay, in other words.
Can I just jump in there?
Go for it, Rick.
I know where you're coming from, Charlie, and it's a great point. But I also know that we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, whether Ronaldo's definitely on his way, whether they think they might have a deal nearly over line. We don't know all that. So that could be part of the reason. But let's be honest here. We've just had 2 league games in a row where Martial's not been fit to start and Ronaldo's still on the bench. So that doesn't bode well for him, does it?
I agree. I agree. I mean, I was at pre-season, as everyone knows, and you could tell that Ten Hag's front 3 is Sancho, Rashford, and Martial. That was what was working. That was the link that was working. And like I said, I think was the best connection in terms of how them players were moving and how they were syncing together. Whether or not that changes if Antony comes in, because like Ricky said, he's been bigging up Martial if he's fit. How does that work? He's also been bigging up Rashford as well. So you've got to look at it in a few different ways. It's a problem and it's not a problem. We do need the cover in there. But I agree. I do believe that the front three would be without Ronaldo. And I think that's how he would go if everyone was fit. I agree with Ricky on that one. But Beth, for you, before we move on, Ronaldo, do you think it's done? Or are you one of these that's like, well, there's nowhere for him to go? So do we just convince him to stay for another year now that he's got a couple of Real Madrid mates down the spine of the team behind him? If they're staying, can't he stay?
Honestly, someone said, like, put £1 million on it now, what you think's going to happen. I generally would have no idea. It's one of them where it makes sense for him to leave because I feel like that is one of the reasons why he is starting on the bench. I mean, I got the Liverpool game. I got it. Like, we're playing on the break. Yesterday, I was like, how is Ronaldo not starting this game as centre forward over Rashford? It blew my mind a little bit. I was like, I would never do that in that type of game. I agree with Ricky that I do think Martial's number one, but to not even getting over Rashford at Southampton is a bit like, I think Ronaldo would be fuming about that. And it's a bit embarrassing actually for him at this stage in his career, I think. And you don't know what reports are real and what reports are fake. I mean, Ronaldo said that there's only been 5 real reports come out since the start of the window. He's going to address everything. Eric Ten Hag didn't seem to be happy about that. Him saying that he's going to come out and do an interview after it's all over. But I think he definitely wants to leave, and I think Eric Ten Hag would definitely be open to letting him leave if something came in. The only thing is I don't think any club's coming in for him. I really don't. And I don't see why you would go to Sporting. Surely they can't pay anything near what he wants to get paid. I don't think Napoli was an option, but again, are they really going to pay? I mean, they've got Osimhen, who's a good striker. I don't know. So I think if someone said, Beth, you have to put money on it tomorrow, I would say that he's going to stay just because I don't think there's any options. But to be honest with you, if it was me now, and I love Ronaldo, I would actually want him to go, I think, at this point and get someone else in, like a Hakpo, someone that Eric Ten Hag can start afresh with, clean slate, build into the team. You don't really want that. He's not. I'm not saying that Ronaldo's toxic because he's absolutely not at all. But you don't really want that toxicity just going throughout the whole season of Ronaldo and Ten Hag. Ten Hag isn't starting Ronaldo. Ronaldo's unhappy. Ronaldo wish he would have left. Do you know what I mean? All these reports just constantly coming out. You want a united dressing room, and I think with Eric Ten Hag's new era, with Ronaldo already leaving anyway at the end of next season, I think it would be of his best interest to get in a young Hakpo, 6'3", 3 goals in 3 games already in at PSV so far this season, and kind of build him up into being part of this team that's in it for the long haul. But don't get me wrong, if Ronaldo stays, I just hope that everything is fine. He does provide goals. He gets integrated into the team, and he can just make the best out of his last year. I think he's a very professional footballer, so I don't think he would cause any issues. But I just don't think Eric Ten Hag or Ronaldo maybe particularly be happy with that happening. From what I've seen and from what I've read, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, which is what we keep saying.
That's it. It's hard to judge, but we talked about the players that have come in. We talked about how good the players have been that have come through from Ten Hag already. As we stand right now, Beth and everyone in the comment section, please get involved in this part of it. Let me know what you think. What marks out of 10 you're giving the transfer window as it is now? And what else would take that mark up from this point to Thursday right now, Beth? How are you marking it?
So far, are we talking about the way it's been handled or just the players we've got in?
No, the players.
I would probably
Keep
give
it
it
simple.
I would probably give it a 7 out of 10. I think Martinez, good addition. Malacia, good addition. Only been 2 games, and I do agree with Ricky. I think he was better against Liverpool, but I still think he played well against Southampton. I think the whole back four has been really good, and I think Eriksen, he's been consistent from what we need. I don't think he's got maybe the engine to do it for the whole 90. But I think he's been good. So, and I'm going to class Antony coming in as well into this. So I'm going to give it a 7 for them reasons. The reason it's not any higher, maybe 6.5. Now I'll go over 7 to be generous. The reason Casemiro as well going to be a great. And we've been waiting for a centre defensive midfielder for so long, like an expert in that position. And I think he's going to eventually get into the team and be world class. I really do. So if we'd signed a striker. And a striker and a right back is what we're missing. And that's why it's not going any higher than that.
Yeah. Charlie, how are you rating it? You can include Antony if you want in this because it does look like it is happening. But players that have come in all hit the ground running, all strengthen the first team. So you have to look at that as well. 4 positions that have strengthened within our first team from last season.
I think for me, it's probably bang average, like a 5, max push 6. But I think at the end of the day, when we're 10 games in and the transfer window's closed, and if these players play extremely well, it can obviously look like a 10 out of 10 window. Antony can come in and be incredible, and obviously Casemiro could be like this proper staple signing, and everyone would have forgot about the whole De Jong saga by then. I'm not sure, but in terms of names and so far, I'll probably just give it a 5, to be honest.
Ricky, how are you judging it, mate?
I'm more in Beth's corner. Me, there's 7 at least for me. I think Casemiro will probably nail down what he should do, shouldn't he? He should nail down a starting berth. Martinez has already nailed down a starting berth. Eriksen at the minute, obviously that could change if Casemiro comes in. It depends how he shuffles it round. But Eriksen, and if this Antony signs and gets a starting berth, plus there could be 5 players here who nailed down a starting berth. Has that ever happened before? I can't think.
No, this is where I'm surprised at the how people are looking at it.
A hell of a lot of players. So I'm not. I think that's amazing for me, especially if it improves the team. We can't really say for sure that it has yet, but 6 points out of 12 in a great start. But if it improves the team no end, and it's 5 new players in the team, I think it's an astonishing window, to be honest. Like I say, has that ever happened before? I can't remember.
No.
5 new signings, money signings. Well, Eriksen was free, but 5 new signings all going straight into the team. We just touched on Malacia there. I don't think Malacia was that clever yesterday. I really don't. And one thing that I did notice is Southampton had clearly spoken about this. Every single time the keeper kicks it out, he kicks it towards Malacia. I'm not sure how tall he is. He looks pretty short to me, 5'9" perhaps. And obviously,
5'7".
Is it Martinez? He's 5'9". Obviously, there's nothing come from it yesterday, and we got away with it. We won, fantastic. But they definitely targeted that area of the field with eyeballs.
It's going to be interesting, actually, judging how this game went, because obviously we didn't do the fan forum yesterday, but I'm already disagreeing with nearly all of you in terms of how the game went from pitch side to what you watched on TV. So it's going to be interesting when we actually get into that, because obviously it does change when you're at the ground. You do see different things as well. So it's going to be fun at this stage. So Ricky, I'm with Ricky in terms of the transfer window, though. I've got to admit, I'm surprised some people. I think the whole Glazer out movement and everything like that is sort of overswaying a lot of people at the moment. I'm not bringing that into it now. It's still the same cause and everything like that. But if you offered me a half of outfield team change from what finished last season, starting game after game at the start of this one, I'd have snatched your hand right off. And we could end up with a completely new spine of a football team. I do believe that right back is a massive concern of mine, and we'll get into that in terms of the game as well. I think if we rectified that right back area, we could have been looking at a completely different midfield and a completely different back line from last. We really could have. Go on, Beth.
I was just going to say, Adam, obviously, I do think we need a right back. I do. But it's only been 2 games, but I think the last 2 games, Dallow's been brilliant.
I didn't rate him yesterday, so there we go.
He was literally man in the match for me, like second in line for man of the match yesterday.
We are so far apart on this, so we might as well get into this Southampton right now, everybody. It's the perfect time. Charlie, I'm going to talk to you, mate, about that game yesterday. What were your expectations going into that Southampton game? We know the history. We know what that game is like. We know how solid Southampton are. They give very, very little away, very workmanlike. Was that a sort of game? By the way, I was the only one out of everyone on United Stand who predicted the score right. Just thought I'd get that in before we started. But 1-0 was the game for me yesterday. Was you expecting that? And did you think we performed well in any particular area yesterday?
I expected us to win. I thought, and I'm very cautious and very aware that the two times.
Sorry, actually, sorry, Charlie, just have to stop you there. That there has been a here we go on Antony. We may lose Beth at some point going forward. We are going to do
I'm just asking now.
Yeah, we're going to do a spin-off video as well. We're going to be running 2 live shows at once here, guys. This is how good the United Stand is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not many that do it. Beth is going to fly out now.
Bye, guys. I wish I could continue this conversation,
Yes.
but right, I'll see you all on the next one.
What I said, but Beth is off to do a spin-off video for here we go for Antony. Beth, go smash it. We'll see you later.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye, love.
Well, here we're just going to start talking tactics. Southampton. Sorry for the interruption there, Charlie. Carry on, my man.
All good. I think I was saying, I expected us to win. It's only been, the 2 losses. I was very cautious of saying that I expected us to win. I think the most important thing was seeing if the players could bring a performance to a very different team compared to Liverpool. I think if anything, it's almost sometimes easier to turn up in the bigger games against better players, and it's very much something that you see in the lower leagues. Even when I play, is that when you come up against the better teams is sometimes where you get the shock results and stuff, because players, and it's the same thing when teams turn up to Manchester United and we're getting turned over. These players want it so much more, and Manchester United players need to have that mentality that every game we go into is a cup final. That's what it should be from now on. It should just be like 3 points is sacred, and we need to turn and make Old Trafford that fortress, as the very stereotypical saying is. We need to make sure that when a team comes to Old Trafford, especially, I know we can get on into the away form as well. Obviously, our away form's been shocking. I think that was the first away win in, I don't even know,
8.
12 or 8. Okay.
In the Premier League.
We need to have that mentality. And I mean, in all honesty, I thought the performance was bang average. I don't think there was that. I mean, we certainly, or to the eye, I'm not sure what the stats say, but certainly to the eye, it didn't seem like we ran as much or pressed as much. I thought, Alanga was bang average for me, although he had a good 45 minutes against Liverpool. Or I didn't think he was very good. Again, I mean, Rashford was no good as well. And it kind of, although we got the win, it's sometimes when you get a performance, even as much as bittersweet as it would have been, if we would have drew that game, obviously it would have been horrible, and I'll take a win all day long, but a performance is always really good. But sometimes when you're a team that's struggling for form, obviously you'll just take 3 points however it comes, whether it's an own goal, a goal off someone's backside, however it happens, it doesn't matter. But it was a shame to not see the same performance roll over from the Liverpool game. But then again, it's a very different side. I think the most important thing, again, to take away is the clean sheet and a great defensive performance from Martinez and Varane. I do agree with what Ricky says about Malacia. I don't think he had a bad game, but I don't think he played as well as he did against Liverpool. But yeah, no, it's interesting. And again, I want to hear your thoughts on this, Adam, about Dalot, because I actually had him down as quite as my man of the match as well. So it's interesting that,
Yeah, I'm going to bring Ricky in on it now, and then we'll get into it. I think he was about 5th on my list in ratings, Dalot.
That's not bad. Not bad.
No, 5th on what was, let's be honest, a heavy defensive performance yesterday. So the ratings were all good around that defensive part of United's team for me yesterday. Or you can imagine some of the performances ahead of him as well, because there were some immense performances in the back line yesterday. Ricky, that game pretty much was a Ricky game. I thought I was there, stood there yesterday. I thought this is the perfect Ricky analysis game. This is 11 men defending, no mistakes, cutting out simple errors, sticking to it, nicking a goal. I thought, you know what? I thought when we nick a goal, I thought it's a Ricky line. It's a Ricky line that we just go up and we nick a goal.
3 points, yeah.
That's it. Get the 3 points. Get the hell out of there and move on, mate.
If you can keep a clean sheet, you've got a great chance of keeping 3 points. But I've got to say, though, we also rode that I look a little bit more than I would like. That's not, nicking 3
De Gea was protected well, considering as but he did have a bit of territory advantage, didn't they, though, Southampton in our half?
They missed a couple of chances as well, rather than them being saved or blocked. But, I'm not complaining. We got the 3 points, 6 points out of 2 games. Bit your hand off at the start of the week. I probably would have, especially with Southampton being an away game and the way we've been playing away from home, and obviously the other game being Liverpool, I probably would have took 2 points out of them 2 games, you know what I mean? So to get 6 points out of it, fantastic. So pleased with it, but just a little bit. Well, really, too much defending to do. I mean, I've already touched on it. I think Bruno's a culprit as well. Not holding the ball up well enough. Rashford not holding the ball up well enough. If we had 2 players in their place who held it better and passed it better, we wouldn't be under so much pressure, and that can obviously lead to chances at the other end as well. Do you know what I mean? We just need to start playing better, keeping the ball better, and then the defenders not having, because there was quite a bit of air and scare them situations. I put a thing on about McTominay today on Instagram about the number of times he headed the ball away. I saw him head the ball from the 6-yard line twice from long throw-ins. You know what I mean? And this is one of the midfield players. We were right under pressure there for some long periods, and we need to get up the field, get hold of the ball, and try and play it around a bit, and not have so much defending to do. And then I would be a lot more impressed with a 1-0 win than I was yesterday. That sort of 1-0 win, where you're not giving up loads of chances, you're not having to defend loads of corners and throw-ins, because you're keeping the ball better. That's the type of 1-0 win that I'd be impressed by.
I mean, that's it there. In terms of United's performance yesterday, it's something to actually build on. And it's funny how Charlie brought up the running stats there. So we were 13k behind Brentford when we lose. We then win the next game and about 5 or 6k, I think it was, ahead of Liverpool. I can't remember the exact number. And then United put in another performance and back-to-back win. And all of a sudden, running stats don't even come into the equation. It's simply because you're winning. Nothing gets brought up as more. But everything is scrutinised when you lose a game, especially for Manchester United. And lo and behold, as soon as we start getting a little bit more comfortable in the league, it doesn't look as bad on paper. No one's really bothered about how far United run. But what United did do was defend, Charlie. And for me, I thought Martinez and Varane out at the game. I'll go through the list now because we had quite a few people come on yesterday and talk to us. So at pitch side, the running order of player or man of the match, Malacia was man of the match yesterday from pitch side. Followed by Varane, Martinez. I would probably say McTominay squeezed in there. And then you're looking at the likes of Dalot at a push. Sancho was ahead of Dalot for a lot of people as well for his first half performance down that side. I thought he was very productive and our best forward player on the day. But what was brought up was the fact that, do you know what? It was good that there was a few players, Charlie, that were all fighting for that man of the match, all at a very similar level, which meant there was a lot of communication, there was a lot of talking going on, and we played as one instead of an individual having a good game and everyone else being off. That was the big thing that came from me today. And I said it outside, Shelley. My words were, you have to earn the right to start playing nicer football. You can't just go straight into it and start playing slick passing football. We tried it, and Ten Hag learned very quickly. He's the first manager to actually learn quickly how good his squad is, who are the best players, and what best way to play it. And I think he's just accepted that it's going to take a lot longer for these players to figure out how he wants to play. And I think playing as a full solid team. And he mentioned it yesterday, Charlie. He said, we've defended as a team and we had the right mentality to never let it get on top of us, no matter how much possession Southampton had. A team performance is probably why it was hard to pick out one individual, I would say.
Yeah, and I think, I mentioned this, I think, last week's forum, that it's great to see and it's one thing you don't want the back four to be constantly changing, because it's the one area of the pitch that you want to have that cohesive unit, that they don't, obviously the conversation and chat will never stop, but it's almost like the sixth sense that the centre back should have. They should know when to step up together, and you know, when someone goes and presses, the other one covers, and if one drops, you know, this is the relationship they should be building, and they should know what one another are doing without needing to tell each other. And it's interesting that I can't remember the tweet I saw, but obviously before the game, when everyone's doing the warm-ups, and it's such a normal thing for defenders to do. They get in the back four and you have someone just like throw the ball up, and the centre backs and the full backs head it away. And I noticed, I don't know if it was Ornstein or someone tweeted out like, oh, they're focusing on Martinez heading the ball out in this warm-up, but it's like, it's such a normal thing to do, like regardless of his height. It's such a normal thing that defenders do in the warm-up, but because he's a shorter centre-back, traditional centre-back, that this is getting picked up, and I just remember reading it and was like what? Like people are just clutching at straws here. Like it makes no sense. But no, I mean to go back, I think it's great that there wasn't that necessary standout person and everyone kind of just fell into place. It was a cohesive defensive display. Yeah. It's just a shame that it was against a team like Southampton, and no disrespect to Southampton. I thought they put in a shift and they played all right. And I thought they were really good defensively, to be fair as well. I thought they did a fair decent job at obviously stopping the ball going in the back of the net. That's what football match is about. But yeah, it's the one positive that you can take out of we kind of lacked what we lacked going forward. We made up for, you know, in the defensive display.
Yeah. Great super chat there for you, Rick. I think I'll read that one out there for you. From Peter Dunnigan says, all great teams are built from the defence onwards. Shut the back door, in brackets. Ooh, matron. I know where you're coming from with that one. If you know, people. And that will give more security to score goals. 100%. 1-0 to the United. I know it's an Arsenal song, Rick, but we'll take a few 1-0s if it keeps us relevant in the league, and then try and build from there and build a bit more confidence going forward.
Exactly. People misread me when I won't even name names, but when I talk about players who work hard, get stuck in, get behind the ball, make yourself difficult to beat, people seem to think that I think that we can go and win the title playing like that, or go and win the Champions League playing like that. In a cup competition, by the way, maybe you could, but you got to get in it first, though. But it's about building confidence and the team getting stronger, you know. And if you can string together, I don't know, 10 unbeaten games, I don't know, 8 wins, 7 wins and 3 draws, or 8 wins and 2 draws, you know, and then you start playing better football, and then you can slip a player in who might help you to continue playing good football. But it's just getting those results together. Getting those results together. You know what I mean?
That is exactly it. Guys, it has been a bit of a weird night, this one. We had an inkling that there may be something happening regarding Antony. That has now happened. So we are going to, sadly, cut this video short, everybody, just to give you guys some more detail on what's going on with Antony right now, because it is breaking news. It is happening. United have pretty much broken all sorts of records by signing Antony. So there is another video up on this channel now. We are not going to do 2 live shows at once. We want to give you all the information on what's going down with Antony. We will catch up and probably talk more on some other videos about this going forward this week. But guys, do fly across to Beth now. She's covering the Antony situation. Is a here we go from Romano, and it's breaking everywhere. So don't jump across there now, so you know exactly what's going on. Charlie, cheers for coming on before we finish, mate.
Appreciate it as always. Love being on the old discussions, fan forums. Love it.
Cheers. Ricky, sorry to cut you in your flow there, mate. I know you're
No
getting
problem,
right
mate.
into it.
No
but
problem.
guys,
Enjoyed it, mate. It's been
brilliant
good.
stuff. That is it, everybody. We're finished here. Beffy's on now live. Just drop down into the United Stand main page there on YouTube, and the video is live now. Antony is a red. Guys, cheers for watching.
Amazing.
Like, share, and subscribe. As always, go and see Beth now. She's there covering everything. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.